Do you struggle to focus? Do you find yourself constantly switching from task to task, rarely finishing what you started? Or maybe you're working late or trying to catch up on weekends because you're struggling to finish the most important work within the day itself? If so, don't worry, you're not alone. You're not the only one that struggles to focus. Researchers at UC Irvine have been studying this for 20 years, and they found that our attention on screens has dropped from about 2.5 minutes back in 2004 to just 47 seconds today. If you're watching this video, you probably don't need a study to tell you that your attention span is already under attack. You recognize this, and you've probably tried to do something about it. Maybe you've set app limits on your phone, or you've sworn off social media for a few days only to fall back to old patterns, and you're still finding yourself struggling, like your brain is mentally scattered all of the time, and it's so difficult to focus on the things that you truly care about. In this video, I'm gonna break down 5 tools that you can use right away to increase your concentration, to defeat distraction, and to start making progress on what really matters to you. And if you want more content on training your attention and building a sustainable way of working that respects your brain and your body, make sure to hit subscribe to get more videos just like this. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Connor. I'm a performance coach, entrepreneur, and dad. And I've spent the last 6 years helping ambitious, self-aware professionals who feel mentally scattered to train their attention, rebuild their focus, and build a personal operating system that respects how their brain and body were designed to work. People like Uche, a founder and CTO who reaped the benefits of attention work. He said this one tool that he learned in my program helped him be more focused at work and, more importantly, more present at home with his family. I've taught my approach to sustainable high performance to thousands at companies like Google and L'Oreal, and I'm excited to unpack some of these very same tools and practices in this video with you. So let's dive in. First, you need to forget about focusing all day and focus in sprints instead. There's a great example of this in the book Rest, and the story is about Charles Darwin, who you probably know. He published 19 books over the course of his life, including On the Origin of Species, arguably one of the most influential books in science of all time. But his working hours were actually tiny. On an average day, it was 3 90-minute focus blocks per day, and then time to walk, write some letters, and even take a nap. Some days, by noon, he would call it a good day's work. And as Pang points out in the book Rest, if Darwin was working at a modern company, he'd probably be fired in the first 2 weeks for how little time he spent sitting at his desk. But look at the output that he had over his lifetime. Although hustle culture tells us we need to work from the second we wake up until the second we go to sleep, the truth is that actually a few uninterrupted hours of focused work is truly enough to make meaningful progress on the things that you actually care about. 3 to 4 hours of deep focused work probably sounds like a stretch for most of you, and that's totally okay. 60 to 90 minutes once a day on your most important piece of work is enough for you to make meaningful progress and to feel satisfied at the end of a day. So pick your sprint, protect your attention during that focus time, and then see how you feel at the end of a day when you start making progress on the things that you actually care about. Now, the hardest part about focused for most people isn't staying concentrated, it's actually starting that block of focus. And that brings us to the second tool, which is to build a focus warm-up ritual. The key to a successful warm-up ritual is to keep it simple and personalize it to you. Now, I help my clients do this inside my program, and I'm gonna share 3 little tips that you can use right away. The first piece is to start with the body. I always say, where the body goes, the mind follows. And one of the most simple breathwork practices that you can use to trigger a state of focus is called the physiological sigh. And it's very simple. You take a long inhale through the nose till you're about 70 to 80% full. Then you take a second inhale to maximally inflate the lungs. and then a long, slow exhale out through the mouth until you've emptied out all of the air. And then you just repeat this 2 or 3 times. That can take you a minute tops, and it's enough to have a subtle downshift in your nervous system, and it makes it a lot easier for most people to then find focus and concentration. The second shift has to do with your expectation. A lot of people think that they're just going to snap right into a state of focus, but it's not really how our brain and our physiology is designed. It takes a little bit of time for you to sort of sink into a state of concentration and focus. So just allow those first 10 to 15 minutes to feel a little bit difficult. That's okay. That's sort of your brain catching up to the task. And there's a lot of physiological processes happening underneath the hood that are gonna help you to focus. And so try to restrain from switching tasks or checking your phone in those first 10 to 15 minutes, and just accept that there is gonna be some agitation and irritation as you drop into a state of focus. And a third tip for a solid warm-up ritual is to grab a sheet of just blank paper and have it next to you as you begin to work. What happens is, as soon as you try to focus on something that's important, your brain is gonna start reminding you of all of this other stuff that you need to do. It's like, pick up some food for the dog or cat, or text Sarah back about dinner next week. Organizational psychologist Sophie Leroy coined the term attention residue. And what this says is that all of these different tasks, they kind of stick into your attention in the background, and it makes it more difficult for you to really concentrate and focus on the task at hand. Now, when you have a capture sheet, a blank piece of paper, where you can offload those little reminders and to-dos that your brain starts bubbling up as you try to focus, it basically tricks your brain in a way. You tell your brain, look, I have this on the piece of paper, it's out of my mind, I'm gonna come back to this later. And it allows your brain to sort of recognize, okay, that's not important right now, and I can come back to the task at hand. So this is a really simple thing that you can do that can help you maintain concentration for longer. So those are 3 simple tips that you can use in your own warm-up ritual, from a short breathwork practice to setting your expectations that focus takes a little bit of time, to capturing some of those unfinished tasks that are floating around in your mind on a piece of paper so you can stay focused on the task at hand. But remember, try these out and design and customize a ritual that works for you. All right, you've done your warm-up ritual and now you're sitting down to focus. This next tool is critically important, and it's simple. It's get your phone out of sight. The reason for this is simple. The biggest attention thief for almost everybody I know is your smartphone. Think about it like this. If you were trying to lose some weight, you wouldn't walk around all day with a candy bar in your back pocket. But most of us, although we struggle to stay focused, we walk around all day with our phone in our pocket. It's a total distraction machine. This is crazy, but your phone drains your attention even when you're not actively looking at it or checking it. Researchers at UT Austin tested this. They had participants sit down to do a task that required concentration. Some of them were allowed to keep their phone in their pockets, others kept it in their backpack, and the last group kept the phone outside of the room. Those that had the phone outside of the room performed 11% better on the cognitive tasks in this experiment. Think about that for a second. Nobody was allowed to actually check their phone, but the people that had their phone outside of the room performed better on the test. Now, what this study has told us is that our phone can sort of drain our attention subconsciously without us even noticing it. You've probably had this experience, right? When you're sitting at dinner and people have their phones out on the table, it's not like you're actively swiping through your Instagram, but there's a part of your brain that's kind of clocking that phone and is taking some of your cognitive resource and paying attention to it. And so it's very, very powerful just to take your phone and put it in another room. You don't have to do this all day, but do it in your focus sprint. It's one little shift that you can make totally for free that I promise you is gonna make huge improvements in your ability to pay attention and focus on the thing that's right in front of you. I'm curious, What's the most common distraction that you face in your typical day? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear what's getting in the way of you focusing on the things that you care most about. This one's less tactical and more foundational. Care about the work. The truth is, it's a lot easier to focus on things that you have an intrinsic motivation or you care about, that they're connected to your purpose, than it is to try to concentrate on something that you feel is meaningless or not connected to your goals or purpose. A lot of people move through life without stopping to ask themselves, what do I actually care about? And if you don't take time to get clear on your higher level purpose and vision and your daily priorities, then it can be very difficult to find the focus in the day itself. When you know the reason behind the work that you're doing, even if it's something that's difficult or you'd rather not do, it becomes easier to generate motivation and focus for that task at hand. For example, planning out these videos, writing my talking points, it can be difficult work on some days. But when I'm clear on my purpose and I recognize that a video like this could help somebody, perhaps you, that gives me the reason to stay focused and concentrated, even though my mind wants me to do something that takes less energy, less effort, less concentration. It does take some time and thoughtfulness to get clear on your purpose and your priorities, but a simple daily tool that I recommend is called the highlight. And I covered it in the video last week. And so if you're struggling with what you should be focusing on every day, I recommend watching this video next and trying out the highlight for a few days. That single tactic can help you move from feeling more reactive to more proactive in your days, and it can make a huge difference. Now, the fifth and final tool is to train your attention on purpose. Many people don't know that your focus, concentration, and attention, it's like a muscle. And like a muscle, you can deliberately and consciously choose to train it and develop it over time. One of the best ways to do this is through focused attention meditation. And there has been decades of scientific research to show that this practice has a huge impact on the neural circuitry that's responsible for our attention and focus. The way this practice works is quite simple. You pick one thing to focus on, usually your breath, and then you set a time, maybe 5-10 minutes as you're getting started, and then you can make your way up to 15 to 20 minutes over time. During that time, you have one job: pay attention. As soon as you find your mind wandering, which it will do very quickly, you simply bring your attention back to the breath. That's it. That's a rep. It's the whole point. And this practice strengthens your ability to notice when you're distracted and to bring your attention back. Now, you can practice this same technique outside of a formal meditation practice in your actual days. When you're doing a certain task and you find yourself distracted, you notice that. And then you don't beat yourself up, you simply acknowledge it and you try to bring your attention back to the task at hand. You can do this, whether you're working on something in your job or you're just doing some chores around the home. You have plenty of opportunities to practice strengthening the concentration and focus of your mind. And as you do this, you will see that the benefits will accrue throughout other aspects of your life. We live in a world that's built to pull your attention in a dozen directions at once. And so purposefully training your ability to focus, I think, is one of the highest leverage things you can do in this crazy distracted world that we live in. If you want to get some reps in and start training your attention right now, you should check out this video. It's a simple 10-minute guided meditation that you can use to start rebuilding that focus muscle. Now, if any of this resonates, if you know what would help you focus, but you're struggling to make it stick, that's exactly what I work with people on inside my program, the Inner Operating System. Attention training is one tool that's part of a bigger system that will help you feel more focused, energized, and intentional in your work and life. And there's a link below in the description to book a discovery call with me. We'll have a short conversation to understand where you're at, where you want to go, and to see if this program could be useful to you. And if you found this video useful, please make sure to hit like and subscribe for more videos like this. When you do that, it also helps this video get seen by more people out there who could use these tools in their own life. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.